It's wipe day and you need a base that you can build quickly without any gimmicks. Something with a ton of storage, room for you and all your homies, with 3 completely separated loot rooms to avoid any splash damage raiding, an impossible to find TC from the outskirts, and a hidden bunker. This might just be how you survive your next wipe. Now, once you find yourself a nice little plot of land in order to build this on, we're going to start with a very simple starter base consisting of a triangle and a square foundation. Closing this in and getting this built early game shouldn't be a problem for most people. While this isn't meant to last you forever, it is a great and easy way to start your base. However, before placing our TC, we're going to create this half wall here and a triangle frame, destroying that half wall and placing the TC in the center. This is going to make things just a little bit harder for raiders down the line, as once we place a window frame here, getting through that area can be considerably harder. Now, before you place this window frame, you might want to consider upgrade options, as if you completely surround this area and no longer have access to your foundations because of honeycomb, you won't actually be able to upgrade this foundation with the window frame there. That said, I like to make sure I upgrade this whole interior area to at least metal before placing my window frame. Obviously, that's not essential for the starter, but it's something you're going to be doing down the line. As this isn't meant to last you forever, it's just going to be a very basic starter while you start farming up materials. As that is the case, you should make sure you lock your boxes and you watch out for any possible door campers. Upgrading this base is actually incredibly simple, starting with a square foundation, 2 triangle foundations, and a raised triangle foundation. That raised triangle foundation is actually one of the most important parts of this base, as that's what's going to allow the stability bunker that we're utilizing to actually work. Closing off this roof area, and then we can place a double door here. This is going to give us some safety to the base and make it a lot harder for raiders to get in if we have the bunker open. In order to create the bunker, we are going to place 2 half walls facing out here, upgrading only the top one, and 2 half walls facing away from us here. Destroy the bottom walls, and now we've created the crux of the bunker. One handy thing I like about this utilized space here, which is normally occupied by another raised foundation, is we can use this for a couple more furnaces. Placing up to 3 furnaces in this corner nicely, we can then place a low wall, which is underutilized in a lot of bases, and upgrade that to make raiding through there a lot harder. Of course, if we needed to close the bunker and log off for any reason, we could do so by placing a half wall facing outwards, and then placing a floor piece and upgrading that. One very big weakness early on is this foundation, which could be soft-sided, so I do recommend actually adding a double door and a wall here, and closing that off. This will also give you a temporary access point to your base, as long as you put a low foundation jump on here. Coming inside, now we're ready to upgrade some decorations in here, so we're going to get this layout changed up a little bit. And I do recommend upgrading the entirety of this 2x1 area to metal as soon as you can. That's because this is the main part of your base, and it should be the most secure. Once that's done, we're going to actually utilize something in this base design that most bases don't use. That is this shelf right here. Instead, most bases tend to operate with these temporary shelves like this, placing the boxes on them. The problem is you can't actually place a bag in any space that is occupied by a half wall above, or by a half floor above it. So by utilizing these shelves, we get a lot more usable space inside of our base, and we don't gotta worry about anything accidentally clipping that. Lining our shelves is very simple, putting a box on each side. And it can be helpful to stand on a box to place the next ones. We'll place our tier 1 and eventually our tier 3 here, with room for another box underneath it, a box beside it, another box right here, and room for one more right in this spot here. At this point, we have plenty of room for up to 3 bags to nicely fit in this area. Of course, whenever we need to, we can open up the bunker and head on up. Obviously, garage doors will make getting through this base a lot easier, and it's something you should definitely be rushing to get. And make sure to keep in mind when you're placing them that if you place them wrong, the rollers will show up through the outside. Whenever you're ready to upgrade that base and you've got the garage doors, which is a good point to upgrade in my opinion, we're going to start with this loot room on the side here. Closing this in, I shouldn't have done this. We're going to create a half height wall here, which is going to create some temporary shelving. And we're going to bring that wall back. Upgrade that shelf. And you can choose to just seal this in or place another room on top of it. I like to go with the second room on top of it. Some people will use a jump up here, which is a perfectly valid option. I'm a loot hoarder, so if I can get some extra loot room, I always go for it. Up here is fairly simple, starting with the box, small box, large box, couple boxes on the sides here. And still got room to place our garage door. Down here, we're gonna have to place our furnaces first, which is a little weird. You don't see it too often, but I'd seen it recently and I was fairly amazed with it. Placing these furnaces here, we'll then have a couple furnaces just specifically for our sulfur, using the other ones for your metal frags. Place a small box in between these two if you've done it correctly. And another one a little bit more forward. Up here, you have the option. You could place a small box in this back corner and then get two large boxes very tight beside them, though it can be a little hard to place and be fairly finicky. Also, it will make looting a little bit more difficult. Because of that, I recommend just placing two large boxes up here, which are fairly easy to place and won't cause you any issues getting into all the other boxes. Upgrading and expanding out, we're going to start by closing in this area here. Now personally, this is the spot I like to use as my jump up if I do plan to expand. Or I'll even go out through here. For that reason, I am going to leave it as wood. And we'll add another garage door here. In this area, I do like to get a locker. Lockers are one of my favorite items in Rust. They nicely fill out that honeycomb space and give you that quick change utility. Having several lockers in your base just makes life a lot easier, and it's something I recommend always doing. Decorating in here, we're going to start with a locker on this side here. Cuddling up against that locker is a repair bench. Make sure you've got your garage door here. And we can jump up on this repair bench and place a large box and a small box there. A couple more small boxes just down here. And a couple drop boxes. You're going to want to place the drop box on the right first, and then the left one. For those of you with OCD, make sure you place the second one a little bit lower than the first one so that it does pop up a little bit. And then we'll worry about expansions. In order to actually expand the rest of this base, you're going to want to make sure you do your starter honeycomb. Coming around to the outside, you're going to want to close in anything that is metal. So we can get that covered up and hidden. And one of the most important ones is going to be this foundation here. That's because this foundation is actually the crux of our entire bunker system, and it's a very vulnerable part of the base. So I would make sure to upgrade that one pretty early on, just to give you that peace of mind. Obviously here doesn't matter too much, but it is nice to add that little bit of extra security. And finally, we come onto this square here. This square is going to act as our jump up, adding on a roof piece, and I do recommend adding a wall underneath, just so nobody camps out down there. Once you've got those placed, we can close in these floor pieces, and finally seal in this area. I do recommend using single doors for your exit doorway at this point, as they are just a lot easier to airlock, creating a nice little seal with this interior door opening outwards here. That's going to make sure that no one coming at you, killing you at your door, can get all the way through, as long as you have this second door open. Closing off this area, we can create our final last quick drop room. I do recommend keeping these shelves as stone. A lot of people will tell you it doesn't matter, you can keep them as wood, but I do like to annoy the top-down raiders. Having that as stone makes it a little bit harder for somebody going top-down, delaying them quite a bit if they chose the wrong raid path. This window space here and quick loot drop storage actually serves a double purpose. While sure it is nice to have the protected loot in here slapping on a window whenever you log off, making it a little bit harder for raiders to get through your base, it actually sits there like that because it is going to make things considerably harder for raiders to go top down on the TC. That's because this extra floor piece here makes it going out through here not very likely. Someone going top down is going to have to struggle with this extra floor, and it just is a lot harder to get into that area. Next, coming here, we're going to drop a research bench to fill this area nicely, and a final third locker. Placing a double large box underneath there, we've maximized the heck out of the storage capacity. Obviously, we could still put some boxes on the ground. I don't really love running on top of boxes. And if you are a trio living in this base, this is probably your best bet for it. But we've already got so much storage, so much loot options, and an easy to move around base. With an upkeep that's not going to leave you farming all day, this base might be your best bet. Of course, if you guys like the base design, if you like the video, make sure to click that like button, as well as subscribe so that you can see the next base builds that I post and make your wipe a little bit easier. What would you change about this base? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or was there just maybe a couple tweaks that you'd do? Make sure to let me know down below in the comments. Until next time, have a good wipe and peace out.